Hey everybody. Well, I think today what I want to do is show you how I cut glass, how I make a little stained glass project. So I've been trying to think what to make, and I'm still thinking about it. But at any rate, this is just the beginning of the process. So I'll come up with something, and we'll get started, and we'll see how that all goes. Okay? All right. Well, before I start any stained glass project, I usually like to start off with a little meal of some sort. And today's no different. This morning, I'm stopping off here at Taco Bell, which is also where I stop off each morning before I head to work. And I usually like to pick up, I don't know, 2 or 3 burritos, a couple of Taco Supremes, and polish it off with a nice Diet Coke. But today I'm not all that hungry. So, kind of in the mood for, I don't know, for ice cream or something. I don't know, that might be pretty good. Yeah, nice ice cream cone.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I would like a strawberry ice cream cone, please.
Strawberry ice cream cone?
Yes, ma'am, a strawberry ice cream cone.
Okay, we don't sell ice cream.
Oh, okay. Then thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
Hi, take order, please.
Yes, I'd like a regular size strawberry ice cream cone, please.
We don't carry strawberry ice cream. We have the frosty, chocolate, or vanilla.
Oh, do you have chocolate ice cream cones?
No, we don't have cold. We have frosty in the,
Oh, I see. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, bummer. I'll bet McDonald's has ice cream cones.
Hi, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order, please?
Yes, I'd like a medium strawberry ice cream cone, please.
The medium strawberry shake? We don't have ice cream cones that are strawberry.
Oh, do you have them that are chocolate?
We only have vanilla.
You have vanilla ice cream cones?
Yes.
Oh, well, I kind of had my mind set on a strawberry. I'll just have a coffee, please. Well, shoot, that was a bummer. I wanted a nice strawberry ice cream cone. Nobody sold them. Well, all I got was this nice cup of coffee, so trying to figure out what I can make. Simple piece of stained glass to show you guys how it all works. Well, I know. I'll make my own strawberry ice cream cone. How about that? Please don't eat it. That's what I'll do. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make a little stained glass piece of strawberry ice cream cone. Okay? What we're going to do, I'm going to walk you through, in essence, the design, because I don't currently have a pattern for that right now. So I'll walk you over to the computer, and we'll use an application called PowerPoint. Comes with any computer, any PC, including the one that Ariel has. And we'll just draw a simple ice cream cone. And then that's the starting point, okay? Well, I thought I'd show you some of the ways I make these pieces. I've got several design books, and just a few to show you. This one is has the pattern that I made of the sun and the moon that I really enjoy. And in essence, if you just open it up, it has, here's kind of another version of it, but basically it's just got a black and white outline of the piece, and all you have to do is cut each piece of glass to fit it. Here's one more. This is whiskers and wings. Gosh, I wonder what could possibly be in there. This is the book that I got the pattern from for Bruce's piece, the Cardinal and the Blue Jay. And once again, if I can find the pattern, it just shows up like that in the book. And like I say, all you have to do, your mission, Jim, should you decide to accept it, is to simply cut the pieces of glass so that they fit within the boundaries of the nice pretty black lines. Here's the pattern that we're going to create. I already made this up, but I'm going to show you how I did it. I use a software package that comes with every computer called PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint. Its original intent was to basically do presentations, but you can do all sorts of graphics with it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with the cone, and I'm going to come down here. We've got auto shapes, basic shapes. I'm going to do this triangle here, and I'm basically just going to draw a triangle. Well, we need to flip it over, so I'm going to come down here and do rotate or flip. We're going to flip vertical. So now there's our cone. Well, there's our cone. Now we need some ice cream on top. So what I'm going to come back down to auto shapes, and I'm going to go back to basic shapes. And there's this thing that says an arc. So I'm going to draw an arc. And with this thing, you can, as you can kind of tell, you can do all sorts of different sizes of an arc. Well, that's going to become my cone. So I'm going to click and drag that down here. I'm going to resize it a little bit. I'm going to scoot this in. There. That looks a little bit better. And I'm going to grab both of these two little objects. They're called objects. And I'm going to scoot the whole thing up. Just so I have a little bit more room down here on the bottom. Alright, well there's our basic ice cream cone. We need something to, in case we want to set this in a window, obviously if we did it just like that, it would tip over. So I need some sort of a little base. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to click on rectangle, and I'm going to just draw a rectangle. And I'm not going to really pay too much attention to the size at this point, but I want the width to be as wide as the ice cream cone itself. Now we're going to use the down arrow and move it down. Well, there's our deal. I don't really need to do this, but just to show you how I did this kind of business, how I changed the colors. I clicked on it. I clicked this drop down to color and selected. Actually, what I can do is I can go to more colors and get more of a pink, like, and then click OK. And so now there's our, well, that's kind of purple, but you get the idea. And we'll make the ice cream cone kind of yellowish. And I'm going to make this background, I have some nice pretty blue glass pieces. And I'll make it kind of a dark blue. So that's what we're ultimately going to come up with. Okay, well, we're now kind of getting ready to prepare my work area here. This is my workbench. I discovered it was a little bit too low to work because I'm working down here, so I'm always bending over. So what I did was I built this to basically raise the surface up a little bit, make it a little bit easier to do the work. I basically set that like that. I have my light board that I've made. I'll show you how this works later on, but light bulb here. I've got a piece of glass that fits like that. Basically what I'll end up doing is turn the light on when I'm getting ready to cut a piece. I'll put the pattern down, turn the light on, and I'll put the piece of glass on top of the pattern, and so it kind of shines through, and then I'll use my magic marker to outline on the piece of glass. So that's my light board. My grinder. And last but not least, I made this. This is where I just keep all my spare glass. So I'll be using the strawberry ice cream cone, piece of pink glass, and for kind of the base, I'm not sure, I'll pick something out eventually. But anyway, these are the sheets of glass. This is how I buy it. These pieces come basically 12 by 12. They run, most of the pieces I buy are from Hobby Lobby, and they run about $5 or $6 a piece. So not terribly expensive. By the way, I wear these glasses anytime I handle any of the glass. Kind of the good news about having LASIK surgery Well, the bad news was I had to start wearing reading glasses. But kind of the good news is when I do the glass work, I have to wear these, and not only can I see better, but it also protects my eyes. Okay, well, we are ready to make our first cut. I've taken the pattern that we printed off on the computer, and I took a Sharpie and basically highlighted the lines that we're going to cut. And I found a piece of glass that I think will work well, and this kind of shape fits the shape like this. So basically I'm going to take this triangle right here and cut it out of that part of the glass. So what I do is I'm going to use my light box, turn it on. Because basically what I want to do is I want to trace that piece of glass onto that piece onto the glass. So we put it on our light box. I'm going to turn it sideways. And I'll also line it up just right there. And I'm going to trace the triangle. And there we go. And reel this all the way across like that, as you can see, is because I simply can't just cut out a piece of a triangle like that, because glass wants to travel in a straight line, and it just can't make a curve like that. So basically what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to cut this piece first, and then I'll cut that, and then I'll cut that. So I'm going to make 3 cuts on this one piece of glass. So now I really don't need my pattern to cut the piece of glass. I'm going to brush this off, make sure there's no particles there, because even if there's a little tiny piece of glass or just anything on the surface underneath the glass, because I'm going to press down a little bit, it can shatter the glass. Alright, well, this is what I use it's called a glass cutter. It doesn't actually, it doesn't actually cut the glass, but there's a little tiny roller here on the very end. It's about it's super small. I don't know if you can see it. Little tiny roller ball. And the pistol part, what I hold in my hand, that has oil in it, basically to lubricate the tip here. So all I'm going to do, make sure you can see this. I'm just going to trace over the pattern. Like that. Didn't break the glass or anything. Now I can either break it, I can probably take this and break it like that, or I can take it, I think you can see it there. Like this. I can just break it like that, because it breaks real easily, but just to show you, I use these pliers. And they're shaped, I don't know if you can see it, it's just a little bit almost like a clamshell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run, it's kind of hard because I can't see in the sunlight. I'm going to basically put the middle part of these pliers just right along the line that I just etched, like that. See that? Now watch this. Simple as that. How about that, huh? So there's one cut, and I'll simply do the same cut on the other 2 sides. Well, it's called a glass cutter, but it really doesn't cut the glass. It just puts a little edge on it. And what I'm going to do, again, I'll use my pliers. Just like that. How cool is that? And now we have our ice cream cone. Getting hungry already. So we've got our cone. Let's go ahead and work on the strawberry ice cream. Very tasty. So I'm going to set that off to the side right now. I don't need that. And we're going to use a nice piece of kind of pink glass. So again, I'm going to go back to my light source. So again, using my light box from beneath, I will trace the circular part. Back. Okay. Well, I purposely chose a piece that had a curve to it. Because those pieces are a little bit more difficult to do than just plain old straight line pieces. Because glass, like I say, glass just kind of wants to go on just on straight lines. So what we will do is I can try to use my cutter to do that, and I will. What I'm going to do, just to make the piece a little bit easier to work with, I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off. Just kind of make a smaller piece. And like I said before, I can easily snap that piece off. I can use my pliers if I want. In this case, I'll just kind of show you. There we go. Just like that. Okay. So this way, if I kind of mess up the cut, I'm not going to totally ruin the entire piece of glass. I'll just ruin this particular piece. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut around the entire area, and let's just see if it'll work. I'm not using a whole lot of pressure. Okay, how about that? Because that's, like I say, glass doesn't really want to make that sharp of a bend. So I'm going to give it some places to go, so to speak. So my first cut, when I break it here, I'm expecting it just to break here and then shoot off to the side. And then my second break is going to do this portion. So I'm going to give it sort of an outlet right there. And the rest of it should go okay. Well, let's see what happens. This is kind of like the big moment of truth. Okay. So this should be a gimme. Okay, see that? Because I made that little stress, that one little cut, knowing that the glass is going to go this way and then it'll shoot off to the side, so that's alright. Then my next piece, I expect it to break right here. Let's see what happens. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, it did all cut off. That's still not circular. Actually, if I flip it over, you can tell it's obvious. I've got this point up here. So that's where the grinder comes into use. Turn this guy on, put a little water on the wheel. Do some zoom. This is what I call grinder zoom. And I still have the outline, so I can basically grind it. So this one little piece that's kind of sticking out here, I'll just simply grind that just a little tiny bit. And it's not like every once in a while if you touch the grinder wheel, it's not like it's going to grind your finger off. So now I'll just use this, since now this is a nice curve, I'll use the grinder just to kind of round everything out. Okay, well, what I normally do is, well, what I never do is, you might think, okay, when you have a piece, you cut out all the pieces, then when they're all cut out, you put them all back together. You solder them all together. Well, that's not the case. I usually work on just maybe 2 or 3 pieces at a time, because not every time you cut a piece does it exactly match the pattern. Matter of fact, just looking at this, I can kind of tell it's not exactly running along the line, and that's okay. So what I usually do before I make this piece, I want to put these 2 pieces together. So I'm going to show you how I do that. All right. Well, in order to put these things together, I'm going to be using some of this copper tape. I'll show you that here in a second. And I will be using some solder. Very pliable. Not very strong, but it's strong enough for this kind of work. And I will be using what's called flux, which is a paste, and that basically allows the solder to adhere to the copper tape. More about that later. And we need a heat source, so soldering gun. How about that? Alright. So, while that's heating up, what we're going to do is I take each piece and I clean it real well. And mostly what I want to do is make sure the edges are really really clean, because that's where I'm going to be applying this copper foil. I see the sun is setting. Today is Saturday, January, so I'm not getting a whole lot of sunlight. Alright, but the good news is we finally have... Cool. Alright, well here comes the real fun. Applying the foil. Well, the whole premise of the foil, what makes it kind of hard and tedious, is, see if I can get a close-up of this. The glass is only so thick, right? Well, the foil is slightly thicker, or slightly wider rather. The foil is just barely wider than the actual piece of glass. So what we want to do, I've got the sticky side my way, what we're going to do is apply the foil like that. I'm going to remove this here in a second because it's not, obviously not long enough. But you can kind of see it sticking out on either edge. And basically I'm going to eventually do that. So if you turn the piece of glass over, you now have a piece of copper on either side of the glass. And you have to do this with every single piece. Okay. So what we do is to basically run that around the entire edge of every single piece. Sometimes you have to redo it if it's not even. So as I go along, I go ahead and crimp it just to make sure that I'm getting an edge on either side. Okay, and so far I am. Looks like pizza. Okay. And straight pieces like this are pretty easy to do. But you have to constantly be kind of looking on either side with your eyeballs as you're doing that. Okay, so far so good. And coming down the home stretch. Then we take our little scissors, snip it off. And this is where my little piece of wood comes in handy. Because I want to make sure that everything's just really not glued down, but again, that side is sticky, so I just kind of do a number on the edges. So I've done the edges. Now I come back and do the top parts. Make sure that's nice and folded over. Okay, and there's one piece. Now you maybe wonder why it takes so long to do these things. After you cut it, you gotta foil it. Okay, well, I'm just finishing up the top part. Again, just kind of smoothing out the copper, making sure it sits. Now it becomes kind of fun. Normally when I solder directly onto the pattern. And in this case, I'll go ahead and do that. In this case, it's so easy, I could just line things up and it's kind of a no-brainer, but I'll go ahead and do it as I normally do. What I'm going to do eventually here in just a second is I'm going to use the solder. I'm going to run a bead. I'm going to melt the solder with a soldering gun. And I'm going to run the bead right along that joint. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to prepare the copper, because the copper is going to absorb the solder, and so I'm going to kind of give it I'm going to put what's called flux, F-L-U-X. And I'm just going to run it right along there, right along the seam. Because basically, solder is in love with flux. They're like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. They just love each other. They just basically makes the two pieces come together. To quote a Beatles song. Alright, well let's see what happens. I'm just going to drop one little drop right on here. Actually, I'm going to hold these two pieces together, because once this solder hits the joint, it's there. So I'm going to hold these two together with my fingers. And I'm going to melt the solder and just drop. You already saw, and there you go. There's just one little joint right there. Just right there. There's a little drop of solder that fell off there. But that one little piece, that's all it takes to really hold. It's not very strong, but at least I can pick up the piece now. You see that? But I always put one little piece just to get things started. Now I don't have to hold it. Now I can go ahead and put maybe another little bead Alright, I'll pick up that one little piece with my soldering gun. See how that just kind of snapped, that solder just snapped right to the seam. Now I'll run my bead here. Kind of smooth that out a little bit. And that's how you join two pieces of glass together. Okay, well today is Sunday. Nice sunny day today. Finally warming up a little bit. At any rate, what I did this morning, just to save some time, is I cut the sides here, just to support the whole piece. So that's what I did. And I'm going to solder these together, and I'll be right back. There's our finished, almost finished product. We've got the nice little base going here. What I want to do now is basically put a border around everything instead of having just these pure copper lines here of the copper foil. Okay, so I'm going to do that here in a little bit, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, well, it took me about an hour, but I finally put this little edging on, this little border around the whole piece, just kind of finish it off. So now everything's all silver. Now the final thing we have to do is basically turn everything, all this lead into basically so it's black. And we're going to put on what's called patina. Okay? So I'll show you that here in a second. Alright, well this is the final step. It's my favorite step because it basically means you're done with the project. All you have to do is turn the silver, both the solder and in this case the little lead border, from silver to black. And we're going to do that with what's called patina. And I'm going to pour it in here. As you'll see, it's just a blue liquid. And I'm wearing gloves because it's kind of corrosive. But what happens is there's simply a chemical reaction between the patina and the lead. So watch this. I find a toothbrush works the best. See that? Personally, I find that pretty interesting. Okay. And we'll let that sit for just a little bit. Maybe a couple minutes. Okay, we are almost done. The patina has dried. I've basically washed it off, or toweled it off. Once you put it on the glass, it kind of leaves sort of a dull, makes all the lead lines look a little bit dull. So the last thing I do is I have some compound, some polishing stuff that I put on the glass. Actually, it's not so much for the glass, but for the lead. And it basically kind of brightens up all the lead joints and everything, all the solder. So I rub that everywhere. Okay. We'll let that dry again for just a couple minutes, and then I'll remove all the residue. Okay, well finally we have our product, our little ice cream cone. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what goes on in the whole process. And if I zoom out, that piece, of course what we just made this weekend, only has 4 pieces. And my Son of the Moon has 160 pieces. And everything that I showed you today, I did on every single piece on this one. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you didn't fall asleep.